Hey Tess,
Hey Evan, how are you doing?
good. How are you?
Good, good.
You're the first one. Yeah. So good job on the exercises. It looked pretty good. It was nice
Mm,
and clean.
thank you.
And I'll go over it doing class two. But there was nothing really wrong. I mean, it was literally just everything seemed very clean, succinct, and it was very good. I'm very I'm very impressed, and I'm happy. Same
Mhm.
thing with Luis's. It was just like I feel like some of the things that we went over, you guys kind of understood. So that's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and this part is very important because it's like this is the part that will actually prepare you for job interviews, and it's the more you can do these, the better programmer you'll be. Like your programming logic will improve. But like I said, it also helps with like job interviews, technical interviews. Um, so that way when that time comes, you guys will be more relaxed, and it's going to be a lot easier to solve.
Yeah,
So I recommend you guys to keep doing the Code Wars challenges, and don't stop
sure.
doing that. Even if we're doing something else, even if we're doing React or Node, just keep doing that.
Okay.
And yeah, and other boot camps they do the same thing. It's in General Assembly, we as soon as we hit JavaScript, from that day on till the day we finished, everybody was doing challenges, Code Wars challenges, and it's just super important to do that.
Okay.
In fact, I was doing one today for myself too. Every once in a while, I do that
Oh,
just to keep my mind fresh and
oh yeah.
sharp. Because like when you teach, like you go over stuff that which is good, like fundamentals and stuff like that. But then I'm like, sometimes I feel like practicing myself. I'm like, I need to practice. I need to keep my mind sharp. So I
Yeah.
picked, I picked like a challenge that was actually perfect, in my opinion. It was something that I always wanted to do, which is to program the logic for elevators. So this
Oh,
challenge was, the logic for an elevator, how it chooses which floor to go, which
okay.
direction to go up and down, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So the challenge was that. So I'm like, sweet, because I always wondered about that. I always wanted to like,
Okay.
do the coding for that. So I'm working on that right now. I
That's
feel like I'm close, but I don't know. I've been working on it for a few hours now, but hopefully um, hopefully I get it soon.
okay.
It's that one and the traffic light ones. I always thought that it would be cool to program traffic lights, like the logic for traffic lights.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Like, because I always wonder, like, how do they determine when it
Yeah.
turns green?
Yeah.
Like some, yeah.
It's kind of
And they're, and then sometimes it's like super annoying. Like, like a traffic light stays red for a very long time when it doesn't need to be. So it's just, I'm like, who created this? Who created the logic for this?
I know. It's,
Yeah. So we're just waiting. I don't know if Celeste's gonna show up. Just waiting on her.
okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to try out the. So we're streaming today. I don't think we're gonna have any viewers per se, but I just wanted to try it out. I want to get comfortable streaming. That was my goal anyway from a long time ago. So I just want to get more comfortable with that, streaming the classes. So um, yeah, so you guys are aware. Uh, that's why I keep looking to the left because that's where the streaming video is.
Mm.
There's it has a huge delay. Holy crap! There's a good 30 seconds delay or so. Interesting. Okay, well let's just get started. I don't know if, like I said, if Celeste is going to join us, so let's just get started. And Luis, I was just telling Tess the importance of doing challenges. Coding challenges. It's It makes you, it improves your programming logic. It makes you a better developer, better coder, but also it prepares you for technical interviews. A lot of technical interviews, they have challenges. They have like, solve this. They give you a problem. They're like, solve this, So it plays. So that's why that part of programming, whether you're doing web development or something else, is so important to keep practicing it. So I don't mind spending more time on this than any other part, really. So with that said, let me.
I guess I do have just a question.
Sure.
Just general, about that. Thinking towards the future here. So how closely would you say that these exercises we've been doing, in class, on Code Wars, like the homework basically, how close
Right.
do you say like those would be like in an actual like job interview? Like, is it pretty similar?
Yeah.
Is it more complex? Like,
Very good question. That's actually, yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking about that, like trying to talk about that a little bit. It's not the ones we're doing. Well, it's okay. It's tough to answer because it depends on the position. So the position that you apply for, depending on what kind of background they're looking for, if they're looking for a CS background, then the challenges are going to be a lot more complex. If they're looking for a super entry level, person, then these challenges are a little bit closer to what you'll actually see. What they want to know is through these challenges is how you think. First of all, they want to know like what. So that's why it's so important doing a challenge, doing an interview, to talk about what you're doing, what you're thinking. They want to see how you're thinking. They want to see how you deal with arrays, strings, or sorting. Very important. A lot of questions are regarding sorting. There's like I said, again, depending on the position, and there could also be some algorithm questions, but it really depends. I recently helped some people with technical interviews, prepared them for it. But it was interesting because a position that I thought was very entry level, we thought wasn't going to be bad. Actually, they assigned a very advanced, coding challenge, and the same could be true the other way around. A more advanced position, you could end up with a simple coding challenge. So it really depends. It's hard to say. I mean, these are on the lower end. They're not. These are like the very introductory level, because we're just dealing with like basic strings, basic arrays. But if we go up to maybe level 7 on, for example, Codewars, maybe we'll reach, we'll hit up some challenges that are a little bit more, you're more likely to encounter during a technical interview, let's just say. So, but that's a good question. And maybe today we can go a little bit more advanced. Maybe we can find something that's a little bit more challenging and just talk through it together. And we'll apply the same steps that we did yesterday, where we break it down. We're like, okay, what's the functioning? What's the argument? What's the type? And I feel like just doing that, I feel like it's going to take out a lot of the stress that you have when you try to solve a challenge on the spot. So so let's see what kind of challenges we can find that kind of make sense. But before we do that, let me quickly bring up the code, the solution that you guys submitted. And I'm glad you guys figured out the whole pulling and forking stuff. So I'm glad that part worked out. Let me start with Luis's. So Luis, I assume, I didn't run the test cases, but I assume they all passed, right?
Actually, I wasn't able to test them. I mean, I test them on REPL, and I used their examples. Their examples passed. So, but because I got an error yesterday when trying to run the test, and I saw today, like on that's you had that mistake. I haven't pulled the changes yet though.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
I can try to just I have it locally. It was that the only file, just the double integer, or was it all of them?
I think no, it was all of them actually. But we can do it right now. I can do it on my computer.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. So what we can do is So here's the exercise repo. So I'll just pull that up, and then I'll add your solutions to the exercise. So to each exercise. So for this one, I'll just grab this stuff right here. And then there's that one. Yeah, I pre-pended all the exercises with a number. I felt like that was the right thing to do, but maybe in retrospect, maybe not. Maybe I should have just kept it to the name of the function and nothing else. Cycling, inverse, and finally summation. Okay. All right, cool. So I should be good to go in terms of NPM packages to start testing. I ran into an issue earlier today where I was missing a library. I was missing a package, which I don't know where it came from. All of a sudden it required it. And I ran into some permission issues too. So that was kind of annoying. So I don't know if you guys ran into that. What I recommend is if you run into any sort of issues, not just with this, with anything really, any other exercise set or anything else that we're doing in class, and you're running the terminal and you're trying to either run test cases or something else, just, figure out in the message what exactly is wrong. That's good practice. And I don't know if I still have the history of the error message I was receiving. Yeah, like right here, there's one. This one right here was the one I think related to not having Jest CLI, command line interface. So I had to install that. See, and I got that from just this message right here. Cannot find module Jest CLI. So I was like, okay. And then same here, it says module not found. So I solved it by just installing it. And then there was another message. I don't know if I can find it now. No. But my point is, if you get an error message, pay attention to the error message. There's usually some sort of solution there, or it should. The purpose of the error message is it's supposed to tell you exactly what the issue is, and then just learning how to copy paste the right part of the error message and doing a Google search. So, okay. So with that said, let's run the test cases. So first, I'm going to go into JavaScript level 3. And then here, I'll run npm run test. Is there anything else I need to pay attention to before I do that? I should have the test cases. They should be working. I copy paste your code into the exercises folder, into the right files. I installed the packages, so I think I should be good. So let's just run it. Yeah, there you go. All pass, all green. Love it. Yeah, so you're good. My test cases are not the most extensive kind, but nonetheless, it should still, I think, test it pretty well. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a look at your code. So both of you did really good job. First of all, all the things that I've mentioned in the past, you guys have implemented it and you guys have made the changes, and the code is very clean, very succinct. So I really like that part. So here for summation, I guess this part wasn't really needed. The if num is greater than 0. Why do you think that part is not needed? And
I'm
has to,
assuming,
yeah.
yeah, it's just because the user, well, I just thought because number two it said that it'll all be
Yes,
greater than
exactly.
0. So I figured that the user would only be putting in those numbers, but
Right.
I decided to add just like a check just in case, just to make sure, because someone could just type in like -1, and
Right, exactly. Yes.
there wouldn't be anything to stop it, from running that, but that wouldn't fit the parameters of what we're trying to do. So
Right,
I was
exactly. Yeah.
that's just why I added that. But
Yeah, it's not a big deal that you added it. It's it's not really a bad thing per se. It's not like, like it's better to be, I guess, on the safe side, and have that check in there. But the way I look at it, if it says the number will always be positive, greater than 0, I would just personally, I would just skip it. But
like
it's
just
not really a bad thing. Yeah.
just take their word for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And because any lines of code that you can cut out, that's the way I look at it. Just take it out. But yeah, no. Otherwise, it's great. Everything else is just even that part was fine. Nothing wrong with it. Here's the inverse one. So set I minus. Given a set of numbers, return the additive inverse of each. Each positive becomes negatives, and the negatives become positive. Inverse index. Okay, so what's happening here?
So
You have
basically, yeah. So what I did on this end was I just kind of figured, the first thing that came to my mind was just how would I get it to always be like the opposite of what it's supposed to. So
uh-huh.
my guess was subtract the like double of what it is. Because you have like
Oh,
3
interesting.
double is
Yeah.
6.
Okay.
So 3 minus 6 would always be -3, and
Okay.
subtracting a negative will is like adding it
Right.
instead. So that was just that's the first thing that came to mind. I
Yeah.
know there was
Yeah.
like an easy one, but
Yeah. No, that works. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I see it now. I was thrown off by the set I times 2. I was like, what was happening there? Okay, I see it now. So if it's positive, so if set I is positive, like 1 or 2, you're just subtracting the double that. So if it's 2, you would subtract 4. That would give you -2, right? And then you push it into inverse set, and at the end you return inverse set. Okay, so the problem is, you have an array with a bunch of numbers, and you're trying to, do the inverse of each element. Okay, so, and if it's a negative number, so let's say it's -2, then you're minus, and this is -4, so it's -4, which is interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a built-in function that lets you. I wonder, can you just do, what if you just add like a minus to the number? Would that work? Like, what if, let's do that right now. What if we just did, so let's keep, I wonder if we need this. Let's see if we can get rid of this. And we're going through the numbers. And for each one, we're just, could we just do this? So just add a minus to whatever it is. So if it's a minus number, then it becomes a positive number. If it's a negative number, if it's a positive number, it will become a negative, and a negative will become a positive. And I wonder if that would work. So let's find out. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. Okay. So that passed it. Does that make sense? And what if we even, I wonder if we could even cut out this whole line. What if we just do inverse set push, and then we did set I and just the minus. And then at the end, we return it. So okay. So does that make sense? But my point is, the only reason I'm pointing that out is because one of the things that I'm trying to get you guys to practice or do more of, which is not going to happen right from the beginning, it's just something that takes time, is to always think simpler. Even the exercise I personally was working on today, the elevator exercise, it's amazing because I was doing it and I realized also that there's going to be people who are going to do it shorter and better. And my job as a developer, becoming a better developer, is to like always try to think of ways to make it shorter and simpler. So this would be a way to just simplify it, I guess. Could you guys think of any other way to make this even simpler?
I think this is the simplest one, I guess.
I feel like, huh?
I think this is the simplest one, I guess. This is very simple. The one we did.
Yeah. And
what I did is I used the absolute value.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
that was And then another lesson here is that there's multiple ways to solve the same problem, right? Like there's not always one way to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Another thing you guys could do is maybe use a built-in array function to solve it maybe on one line. And I'm just going to highlight this. That doesn't mean that you guys should feel obligated to have done it in that way. That's very important, but at least be exposed to it and to see how, in what other ways you can solve it. So let's look up some JavaScript array or built-in array functions. And I just did this today. I do this on a regular basis when I solve challenges. I have to look up the list just to refresh my memory. I'm getting better at remembering what's available, but I still have to look it up at times. So let's see. Okay, there we go. Array methods. So these are all the methods that we have available to us, right? So let me know if you see something that makes sense. You're not expected to know this because you guys are new, but the way I do it is like I read through the description. I'm like, is there one that makes sense here that I could use? And just look through this and see if you guys can maybe identify one function that we could use to create a solution that's even more succinct. The one I'm thinking of is .map. Creates a new array with the results of calling a provided function with on every element in the array. So if we wanted to apply a certain function to every element in the array, we could use .map to do that. So if and I like to pull up the W3 School's definition of map. Okay. So .map takes in a function as an argument, and that function takes in another argument, if that makes sense. So I don't want to confuse you guys with this. So I'm just gonna I just want to see if I can explain it in a very simple way. But basically, if you wanted to write it in one line, you could do something like this: return set .map, and then here it takes in a function, right? And you guys haven't seen this, so this is something new to you. I don't think you guys have seen this, where it's called arrow notation. So you can have the function inside as an argument. So you can say x like this, and then you specify what you want to happen to each element. Well, we want to do the inverse, so just do minus x. So I think it's just return minus x. And I don't know if I did this right, but we'll find out here in a second. Okay. Set map return. Let's test it on REPL first. So let's put it right here. And what are we still missing? So I have the function definition right here.
Yeah, to invoke it.
Exactly. Function. Well, we don't need function for that. Inverse. And then the argument is an array, right?
Yes.
So let's say 1, 2, minus 3, 4. Okay. So, and let me just look at map again. Map does not execute the function for array elements without values. This method does not change the original array. Map method creates a new array. Okay, so that's what we want. So this set.map creates a new array. And what am I missing here though? Map return. I don't think we need return. I think it's just like this, literally. And look, my point is, and like I said, this is not to make you guys feel bad about what you guys have done, because what you guys did was actually perfect, with keeping in mind that where you guys are just learning, but just being aware that there's also these other functions that you can use to do something even more succinctly. So yeah, any questions on this?
Wow.
Yeah, so but let's move on to the other ones. I put the original solution back. Yeah. Or not. Okay, we don't need it anymore. Okay, moving on to cycling. That one is pretty straightforward. Looks good. Math.floor, 0.5 times time. Looks good. Yeah. Perfect. Same thing with banjo. Looks good. And double integer. Looks good. Yeah, good job. Okay, let me pull up test the solutions real quick. Yeah, so test just like for double integer, for example, he just created a intermediate variable right there, and then he returned it, which is good, which is like avoiding hard-coded. So this is not a bad thing, really. So that's totally acceptable. Banjo looks almost the same as Luis, so that one is good. Cycling, yeah, so I've noticed that Tess is using variables instead of hard-coded values here. So that's good. And I like the fact that you're doing, you have the comments at the end saying, end of function, define function. So that's good. I like that. So keep that up. And then summation, we have, yeah, looks good. Very good. Yeah, good job. All right, let's do some more exercises. I think we can, so we can just get really comfortable at least with the, I mean, at least with the, maybe we can try like a 7. What do you guys think? Let's see if we can do like one a little bit more advanced, but maybe we can do it together. So let's see. I'm just trying to figure out if this makes sense to solve together. How about this? Yeah, let's do this one. So let me grab the template that we have that we used yesterday and kind of follow that template. Do this template right here. So here we're gonna put the function description. So I'll grab all of this. All right. So let's see if we can make sense of this. In English, all words at the beginning of a sentence should begin with a capital letter. You will be given a paragraph that does not use capital letters. Your job is to capitalize the first letter of the first word of each sentence. For example, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. I'll put, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, blah, 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 blah. Basically, where every first letter of each new sentence is uppercase. You may assume there will be no punctuation besides full stops and spaces. All but the last full stop will be followed by a space and at least one word. Full stop and spaces. Okay, so you only have spaces and full stop, which I assume they're referring to periods. The last full stop will be followed by a space and at least one word. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can do this together. What do you think the name of the function should be?
Maybe something like capitalize, maybe.
Yeah, I like that. Let's call it capitalize. Okay. Number of arguments.
One.
One.
Yeah, I like that. Argument type.
String.
I like that. Names for the argument.
Paragraph.
Paragraph, yeah, I like that. Return type.
String.
What is it?
String.
String, yeah. Cool. All right, let's do the function definition. So we'll write function.
That's the line.
Okay, and then for the argument, we decided to call it capitalize. Okay. All right, cool. So how could we possibly achieve this? Any ideas? So the first letter.
I don't know what exactly the.
So
we're going to use as one of the string functions to capitalize the first word.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could use, I mean, we definitely have to capitalize the first letter of the whole paragraph, right? That's pretty much guaranteed. So that part is going to be easy. The part that's going to be challenging is this whole after a period to capitalize the word, you know, after that. So that's going to be a little bit more challenging. So in this case, my name, the M in my is going to be capitalized. So how can we do that?
So everything with a dot and a space, so that it'll always be dot space because of the period and the space. So everything
Right.
after that specific, you know, like I'd say
Pattern?
combination of characters, yeah,
Right.
pattern would be capitalized.
Right,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I mean, in the simplest way to think about it is if there's a period and a space, or maybe even no space. What does it say about? Let me check what it says about spaces. So we don't know if there's going to be one space for sure after a period. But at least full stop will be, oh, wait, right here. All but the last, well, full stop will be by space and at least one word. So that part is a little bit, not clear, but I'm assuming that it's either going to be a period followed by a space or a period without followed by a space. So let's assume that, well, let's make it simple, right? Let's start off by every period except for the last one is followed by a space and a word. Except for the last one where there will, it's the end. There's nothing there. Okay. So what comes to mind going through a string? Like what's
For loop maybe, since you're going through each individual, you know, string character.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do that. Let's set up a for loop. Where do I start I at?
0.
Where do we start? 0. Yep. I less than what?
The length of the string. I mean,
which is
paragraph dot length.
Exactly. Yes. And then I
increment.
Plus, right? Okay. Then what? Then I would say we need to check if, well, we haven't addressed the very first letter. I feel like we should do that first, right? We should uppercase the first letter of the whole paragraph. So how do we uppercase something? Uppercase. Let's search for uppercase first letter. Oh yeah, that's right. There's a to uppercase function that we can use that we can apply to a string or character, to a single character or a string. So if we do char et, that we can specify which one we want uppercase, if that makes sense. So if we could do something like this, paragraph char at, and assuming that the very first letter of the paragraph is, not a space, it's an actual word, we should do to uppercase. Which, like I said, we're just making it a little bit easier on ourselves by assuming that for now. We can come back to this at the end and address any, edge cases, if you will. So that should capitalize the first, the second slash.
It's only gonna capitalize the first character only.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So we'll start off with very first character of the paragraph. So we're starting off with the very first character of the paragraph, the whole paragraph, and then we're looping through the rest. But the issue with this is that we haven't really changed the. This just returns the letter in uppercase format, but we need to still, save it, or maybe save it to paragraph itself, meaning like this by itself just returns, like, so if the paragraph is hello, it starts with hello, then this would just return an uppercase H and nothing else. Like it won't do actually anything. So in that case, we can use this function called .slice starting at 1 first. So starting at the second character, that returns everything after it. So let me give you an example. Let's use the console real quick. So if we have a string, and that string is hello, and if I do string dot char at 0, that gives me the first letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I do the first letter to uppercase, and that's a function, it will give me uppercase H. But look how str hasn't changed. Str is still hello, right? So how do we change it? How do we change it in place? Well, I think we can use slice for that. So if we do str, for example, and then slice and say 1, that will return all the characters starting at position 1, which is the second character. So that'll be hello. So if we combine this plus str slice at 1, this will give us hello with an uppercase H, but there's still one problem, which is that if I do str, it's still lowercase, so we haven't really saved it. So we should do str equals. Let me go back to this real quick. So I need to save it to str. So now if I do str, it's hello. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're saving it to str. So now it's saved to str. So here, or actually right here at the top, we need to save that to paragraph. I'm going to say paragraph equals plus slice 1. Okay, so this should technically, if I do a console log of paragraph, and I don't do anything in the for loop yet, and I don't return anything yet, well, let's just say we'll return paragraph. Actually, let me get rid of this console log. Can anybody guess what's going to happen if I call on this function now so if I call on capitalize and then this string, Can anybody guess what's going to happen? What is the result going to be?
So the paragraph with the first letter capitalized.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I'll run this. Yeah, that is hello, my name is blah, blah, blah.
What did the slice did in that? I don't. What's the slice function doing now?
Slice, yeah. So slice, what it does is it returns a substring. So it returns like part of another string. So if you want to return, so if the string is hello and you want to return everything except for the first letter, you say slice. Let's just use slice right here. So if I do slice, for example, 2,
okay.
Look what it returns.
Oh, okay.
It returns everything except for the first 2. And then 3, so it starts at index 3 and returns that. So if I do 0, it returns the whole word, that is.
Okay. But we use slice 1 in our code, so it's supposed to return the way it is in here, right?
Yeah.
ELLO.
Say it again.
I mean, if you say slice and the index position is 1, why is it returning hello? It's supposed to return elo. I mean, like the way it returns in here.
Exactly. Yeah. Like right here, slice 1 returns elo.
Yes.
Without the H. Yeah. If it's 0, it returns the whole word.
Yeah.
Because we're starting at the first one.
Yeah.
The very first character. Yeah.
So why did we use 1 in our code? I mean, like.
Oh, yeah, good question. So because we got the first character is this right here, paragraph character at 0 to uppercase. So that's the H, but in uppercase format. So it's that H plus everything else. After.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one is taken care of by this right here, the very first letter. So yeah, so now we need to figure out how to do all the other ones, right? So any ideas for that? What can we do? So we're going through every character. When are we supposed to stop, I guess? Or when are we supposed to do something? I mean, how often, like, when is there, when is action required, I guess? So we keep going through every character, right? Nothing happens until we reach a period, right?
Mm.
So if we do period, then now we want to uppercase
first letter.
Uppercase first letter of the next word. So we don't know how many spaces they're going to be, but I said that for simplicity purposes, let's just assume that there's going to be one empty space always, unless it's the last full stop, the last period. Then it's going to be done. So we need to check first if let's do this. If paragraph I equals period, and paragraph I. No, I'm sorry. And I plus 1 is less than paragraph dot length. Does that make sense? Because we want to make sure it's not the last period. We want to make sure it's not this one right here. Because if we do plus 1, it's going to be equal to is going to be equal to the length of the whole string. So we're saying that as long as it's less than the paragraph.length, then we're good. That means we need to uppercase the first letter of the next word. So how do we uppercase the first letter of the next word?
Using the uppercase function?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So we could do something like, so this is a tough one, right? We can say, well, it's going to be, let me see. It's going to be paragraph at location I plus 2 equals paragraph at location I plus 2 to uppercase. So let me make sure we did this part right. So let me copy this and test it out here. And let's do, we don't have paragraph here, we have str. So if I say an I, we don't have I, so let's say we have, let's say we want to uppercase the E only, right? So we'll do str1 equals str1 to uppercase. And I wonder if this works. So if I do str now, no, it didn't work. It doesn't change it in place. I was trying to change it in the string itself, but it doesn't do that. So how can we change a single character in a string? Change a single character. Replace maybe? Let's see. Function replace character, original string, replace character index. Okay. I don't know if, so they created a function to do it, to do that task. And what they did is they get the original string, get the first part of the string, then they get the last part of the string, and then in the middle they have the character that we're trying to replace, if that makes sense. So let's just copy this whole thing. And we'll do something similar. So here, we'll do first part is original string, which is paragraph, starting at 0, ending at I plus 2. Because it's not I is the period. Remember that. That's why I keep using plus 2. We want to do wherever the period is, but 2 characters over, because the next one is a space. Then the last part is I plus 3. Everything after the uppercase letter, not index I, and not original string, it's paragraph. And the actual character that we're trying to replace is going to be paragraph I plus 2 to uppercase. So that's the new string. So now paragraph is equal, or we can just do it like this. And look, do you guys see how, can you guys tell if it worked or not?
It works.
Works, right?
Yes.
There's, but it doesn't work, for example, if we change the original string to be like this, right? So if I run this, I removed one space after hello, and look, it doesn't work because it assumes one space, then the word. So how do we fix that though? Let's see if we can fix that. So where it actually, it doesn't matter how many spaces after the period. It waits till all the spaces are done, and then it uppercase it. So how do we do that?
Could we maybe just add a condition to the if statement?
Yeah. You're talking about this if statement? There's
Yeah.
only one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking. Yeah, but we don't know how many spaces there are, right? So that's the issue. So how do we? How do we ignore all the spaces? I guess. I'm thinking, what if we use like a while loop? So while the next character is a space, keep moving forward. So maybe we can do something like, so in here, maybe we can do, while paragraph I equals space, do I plus plus. So while paragraph I equals space, we're moving forward. I will keep moving the iterator forward. But then this problem right here is first part. This we would have to change this to I, 0 to I. Last part is I plus 2, I think. I plus 2, and then the middle part is I plus 1. I wonder if this works. No, it actually removed the period, so I'm off with the numbers. So how do we do it? While paragraph I equals empty space, do I plus plus. So I is at a period. Then the first part is everything all the way up to maybe I plus 1. The last part is I plus 2. Maybe it's I minus 1. I plus Last part is I plus 1, I. Now we got rid of the last character before the period. So while I is an empty space, keep increasing the index. And then the paragraph substring I. Let's find out. Let's do this. Let's experiment with substring real quick because I'm still a little bit fuzzy on where exactly, if it includes this last part or not. So if we do a substring of string str, and we do 0 to, let's say 1, it returns, let's say 2. So 0, 1. So it does not include the last in, so it includes 0, 1, but not 2. So that helps. So if we come over here, and at this point I is the first character that we're trying to uppercase, so we don't want to include that, so it'd be just I. And the last part is I plus 1. Okay, this should work. Hello, my name is, well, except for the uppercase part. Let's do it. Let's do a console log here. Oh, that's just, so paragraph I is the period. So wait, that doesn't make sense. If it's the period, but we increased it. Oh, I bet you anything it never, this part never really worked, I think. So if we go, uh, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Space. Oh, while I know what the problem is. While I plus 1 equals space increase I. That makes more sense. So if we run this now, there's still I plus 1 equals space, because I is the period, I plus 1 is the space. Or maybe we could do a do while. Do plus. Keep increasing I every time there's a space. Let me get rid of this whole thing. Okay, so we encounter a period and we want to keep moving forward with the index as long as the next character is a space. So how do we do that? I still feel like a while loop makes sense. Oh. Oh yeah. That worked. I just forgot to do it right here. Okay. Okay, so that must have been a little bit confusing to you guys, right? That threw me off. I mean, it's in this particular challenge, it's relatively safe to assume that you can expect one space after the period. But let's say doing an interview challenge, they said, what if you don't know the number of spaces? Would that still work? So let's see if it still works if I add more spaces. What if I add like a lot more spaces? What if I add no space right here? And let's test it. I don't know if it's going to work. It should. Name, prepare. Yeah, it still works. So it doesn't matter. My point is, it doesn't matter how many spaces you have now. It's still going to uppercase the first character. So I just wanted to show you guys, a little bit more advanced version of what we've been doing, just one level up, so you can see what's next. Any questions? I know this is confusing and don't, completely clear yet because you guys are still moving up into that direction.
What's the substitute function doing exactly here? I'm trying to.
Yeah, the substring one. So substring, let's pull it up real quick. So if we have a string, str, that's like that. And let's say we wanted to get just, how about we just want to get hello? We don't want to get all this other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So you can use substring for that. str, substring. What was it? Substring. And you tell it where to start and where to end.
Where's my end? Oh.
So you want to start where? At 0, right?
Mm.
And you want to end in where? 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say I don't want the period, just hello. then you would do, and it doesn't include, so you would do 5, I believe, to get hello. There it is. Hello. So that gives you, just a substring, just the part of the string, not the whole thing. So you can get the first part of the string or the last part. How do you get the last part of the string? You would do str.substring, and you would just tell it where to start. It automatically picks the end for you. So if you say, well, I want everything starting right here. I just want, how are you? Including the period. Then you would do substring 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe. Yeah, or 7. 7, yeah. So that's substring. Yeah, so I'll share this exercise if you guys want to review it, but yeah, that would be the next level. Like if you guys want to, like if you feel like level 8 of the KDAs are too easy or getting too easy, then go ahead and go down to level 7, or go up, I should say, to level 7. But okay, I'll try to. I think I might post. I don't know if I'm going to post one more set of JavaScript exercises. I might, just because, like I said at the beginning, it's this is like an important part. So I might post one more set of exercises, and then maybe we can move on to mixing HTML and CSS with JavaScript, and go back to actual web development maybe. And maybe that way, and then you guys should be able to create dynamic pages. Yeah, when you guys can see how JavaScript works with HTML and even at times with CSS, but not really, mostly HTML, to create websites that are more powerful, I guess, more dynamic. So yeah, so let's stop here for today, and like I said. Probably one more set. Probably tomorrow. I'll post something. Any questions?
So we can use JavaScript to build any application, like besides the web application. We can use it.
Good question. Good question. So the JavaScript is used. Now you can use it for backend development, which means you can create full stack applications, web applications, but you can also use it to create this more recent mobile applications. So for that, you use a certain framework called React Native, and you can create one version of the code, and it runs in the browser and it runs on mobile apps. That's at least my understanding. So there's actually a lot you can do now with JavaScript. Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, the funny thing is JavaScript was just meant for front-end development. It was not meant for anything heavy, but now you can use it for almost anything. Yeah. It's very versatile. It's very useful. And I recommend it to a lot of people. People always want to know what language to start with. I tell them JavaScript is the most versatile one. It's the one you can do the most with. Back-end, front-end, mobile, everything. Like, what other language can you do that with? None. There's no other language that you can do that with. So, yeah, I definitely like JavaScript in that regards. Good question. All right. Let's stop here. And then, yeah, good job, both of you. I'm very happy with the fact that you guys turned in the assignments on time, and everything looks good. So keep doing that. Just keep going, keep doing that, keep learning, keep adding the comments, keep keeping the code clean, and all these little things too. So yeah, and hopefully by the time we're done with this, you guys hopefully get ready, are ready to interview and pass any technical challenges that an employer might throw at you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right, for sure.